Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers, Season 3, The Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Episode 2, Open Waters. I know exactly what game we're playing, but I was distracted by one of my settings on OBS, and for a split second, forgot how to intro the show. So that's what kind of night it's going to be. I've decided that V will be the DM tonight. No, I'm just kidding.
Because of the beard.
That's what it is. I lost my mojo. I shaved off all my mojo. I feel guilty using my my beard head emojis or emoticons in the chat because there's just nothing there.
I can mail you one. You can use it until the other goes out.
Trust me, it won't take long.
So I mean, you've got a very identifiable voice, so there's no one that's gonna, say that this is an imposter. But has anybody, in the previous week's games, questioned what's going on?
No, there's been no reason for anybody to question what's going on. As far as they know, there's no change. Nah, nobody's noticed, but yep, that's right. It's still me, sans the beard. Mike the Piper's in the chat said he always thought that there was another more robust beard behind the beard. Nope, it's just this. All right, we are going to get started here in just a moment. Couple quick announcements, some of the usual announcements. First off, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you will see logos for Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company. Two awesome channels that Mini Terrain Domain has partnered with. At any time, you can type !Jasper in the chat or !Coffee in the chat, and you will get links to Jasper's Game Day. The Jasper's Game Day organization is a wonderful tabletop-centric organization that is focused on the mission of trying to raise awareness and prevention of suicide. And the link, when you type Jasper, goes directly to their donation page. All funds are dispersed around the country to help fund suicide prevention and crisis centers. So it's an awesome organization to partner with, founded by a young lady right here in Michigan, where I'm from, Fenway Jones. She's just done an amazing job building what was supposed to be a one-day event into what is turning into just quite frankly, a global sensation, as people all around the world are participating and helping with such an amazing cause. To the end of helping to fund them, I've also partnered with Initiative Coffee Company. Brian from Initiative Coffee. Yeah, Brian from Initiative Coffee. Good Lord.
You're not allowed to shave your beard again. Nope.
No, apparently not.
Nope.
Brian from Initiative Coffee Company will be a featured player in an upcoming campaign starting at the end of August on Tuesday nights right here on Mini Terrain Domain. But I partnered with them to create Metade Roast Coffee. It is a medium Brazilian and Peruvian roast coffee. Every 12-ounce bag that is purchased, $3 of that goes to benefit Jasper's Game Day. So there is a link in the chat right now or down below in all the little fancy buttons. So you can order your coffee today, and it is delicious. I actually helped to choose the coffee from a selection of coffees. So I can say it is hand-picked. And I absolutely love it. And if you're a coffee lover, you may love it too. And if you do get some, take a selfie with it and tag me at @MTD_Jake on Twitter. Because I love seeing those. I just last week got tagged by Celeste Konowich, who received her coffee. And that's always fun to see where, people are getting coffee around the world from Metade Roast and Initiative Coffee Company. Finally, if you look down in the lower right-hand corner, you will see the D&D Beyond logo. That is because Mini Terrain Domain is powered by D&D Beyond. If you're watching on Twitch live, you can, on your computer, you can mouse over the screen, and from the left-hand side of the screen, a pop-up will show up with each of the characters and what their level in class. You can click on each character, and another like mini character sheet will pop out. You can even click through that and see their actual full character sheet on D&D Beyond. So thank you to D&D Beyond for making MTD a D&D Insider so that we can have that awesome functionality. And I just love running I love running my games off of D&D Beyond. It's so much easier to have multiple tabs open to get to all the rules and item descriptions, monster manual, all that stuff. Here at Mini Terrain Domain, you can see some ghostly dice up above my head with the plus 70. That is 74 domain dice that you, the audience, have granted the players. For every $5 tip, 500 bit donation, or resubscriptions, raids, all that kind of stuff, subscriptions to the channel, earns them a domain die. And what that does, you can either type in domain dice in the chat, or you can watch the scroll along the bottom, and it explains that basically they can spend these dice to re-roll a d20, force me to re-roll, get specialized healing, save themselves from death saving throws. Boy, I could have used one in Megan's game the other night. First saving throw, rolled a critical failure. But on my second saving throw, I rolled a nat 20, so it balanced out. But all the way through, 5 domain dice, which has only been used once in any MTD campaign by Mr. Jeremy down here, against a dragon. 5 domain dice turned a hit into a super crit, which is an automatic double max damage critical hit. So that is how you, the audience, can participate and have an influence on this campaign. Now, I've only got graphics to support up to 105 domain dice, so I challenge you to make me have to make more graphics to go along with that. The final thing that I would like to point out is kind of tying back to what we were saying about Jasper's game day and the suicide prevention. If you are in the chat, you find yourself needing some help, needing somebody to talk to, we encourage you to type !help or watch the scroll at the bottom, and you'll see the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text 741-741. Trained professionals are standing by to talk to you if you need somebody to talk to. All right. Who wants to play some D&D? So, in last week's session, which was White Sails Under Blue Skies, and was our official session 1, the characters met a dwarven individual from a far-off place called Keeland named Manistrad Copperlocks. And along with the mayor of Blazing Dell, it was explained that there is a dwarven mining operation that is sanctioned by the king of Keeland, who has they've asked for assistance from Blazing Dell. And so, possibly a little reluctantly, but not without some discussion, the Dawnbringers decided to head to this region, particularly when a couple of them found out it was in a place called Saltmarsh, as some of them had found research or other information that would lead them to believe that their destiny lies in this region. But nonetheless, they embarked on a 3-day journey by wagon train along the river to the port town of Luskin to escort a dwarven mining contingent of 25 dwarfs along with Manistrad Once in Luskin, you met up with, at the docks, the ship, the Evangeline, a large sailing ship, and you were immediately greeted by a rather dashing human captain by the name of Captain Stark Dervish, who insisted that each and every one of you, including each and every one of the 25 dwarves, must ask permission to board the vessel. The reason for this was, of course, the first mate, Victor, who revealed himself as he hovered behind the captain. Victor is none other than a spectator, a floating creature with a single eye in the center of its face and 4 eye stalks emerging from around it. He has been tasked to guard this ship and insists that naval protocol be observed. You were brought on board and the ship set sail. You headed out for open waters. And that is where we are going to pick up tonight. Of course, as is obvious, Megan is not with us tonight. So Fig may be a little quieter than usual. But for all intents and purposes, Fig is, of course, still there with all of you to participate in the adventure. So the last bit of information you had gotten from the captain was that depending on how cooperative the winds are and how cooperative the weather is and other circumstances, it could take you 10 days or more to get across the sea to Keeland. Though he's been rather vague on that answer. I would say at this point, you were also shown below decks to where each of you has a room. There are some guest quarters down there. As you pass through the hold, you could see, or at least the initial hold, you could see where some hammocks were strung, and the dwarven miners were brought to the lower hold along with the crew, where additional sleeping arrangements have been made for them as well. At this point, you have been underway for a couple of hours. You've had enough time to get settled into your cabins, and right now the sea is relatively calm, so there's a gentle sort of swaying motion to the ship as it gently rocks back and forth, a little bit of forward and back, but there's not a whole lot going on in terms of waves and stuff like that. So what would you like to do?
So how long have we been on the boat? What time of day is it?
We'll say that it is mid-afternoon, probably about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Did we just set off, or we've been on the sea for
You've been on the sea for a couple hours.
How are the regular dwarves, doing? Are they all below decks? Is anyone, up on the...
I would say, well, where do you want to go first? Do you want to look below decks, or do you want to go
up decks? It's probably better in the air than below decks.
All right. So you head up onto the main deck of the ship, and there are a few of the dwarves, quite a few of them actually, are up on deck. A handful of them are sort of walking back and forth, moving from side to side, trying to see what's going on, getting a good look, just looking out at the vastness of the sea. And there are at least, well, let's see. There are 2 dwarves that are currently engaged in violently being sick over the edge. They are not adapting to the motion of the ship at all.
Are either of them Talmud, or is he below deck?
I don't know. Where are you, Talmud?
Talmud is doing much the same, but he is in his room below decks.
So I will, wobbly, make my way over to the two dwarfs that are getting sick, and cheer up, lads! Only 9.5 days left. Kind of slap them on the back.
You slap one of the dwarves. It's one male dwarf and one female dwarf.
All right, I'll slap the male dwarf on the back.
The
Pat him,
The male dwarf, as you slap him on the back, he turns to look at you and he's like, only 9.5 days. I don't know if I can make it 2.5. Yeah, he's pretty green.
I'll try to make my way and see if I can find any of my companions then and see what they're up to. Anybody on deck?
Are any of the three others of you? Well, we've established Talmud is below deck.
Cantriel would absolutely be up on deck and probably just walking around and taking in the sights of everything and just perfectly content.
All right, so then I'll make my way over to Cantriel. Now, I clearly don't have sea legs, but I'm not heaving over the side. So, you've been on a ship before?
No, but it's outdoors and that counts for something.
Well, we're doors are used to being underground.
Yes,
but,
well, think of it like dancing. 1, 2, 3, hop, 1, 2, 3, step, and you just go with the way the ocean's moving the ship.
Dancing. Didn't really do much of that.
Well, you'll get used to it eventually.
So I look around. Is Griveth anywhere near?
Not like I've really been paying much attention, honestly.
No, I'm asking Scotty.
Oh.
It's sunny on the deck, right?
Yep.
Okay. So just then, like on cue, Griveth comes out from the lower deck and he has nothing but his loincloth on.
Okay.
And he comes out and he's like, oh, great day. So he's like, he starts doing like, calisthenics, like working out, doing push-up, pull-ups. He's making sure that like, he's really kind of showing himself off when Cantriel ever happens to glance his direction. And
Cantriel's actually starting to lean over the side of the railing next to the two dwarves. Rather concerned, suddenly he's feeling nauseous.
As you're doing this, Griveth, you see, and Cantriel, you would see this too, the captain steps down from the
wheelhouse.
What?
The wheelhouse?
The what?
Wheelhouse?
That's not a tugboat. It's a sailing ship. It's the
bridge?
Poop deck, I think is actually what it's called. It's the stern castle.
I know Starship stuff.
Anyway, he steps down, but he does so by putting his hands on the railings, and he just sort of just lithely moves forward, skipping all the steps, and lands kind of next to you, Cantriel, between you and Griveth, with barely making a sound. He sort of pivots on one foot and is now leaning against the railing, crosses his arms, gives you a wink, Cantriel, and then turns to look at Griveth. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with you showing off, as it were, and forgive me for being so bold to say this. This looks as though it may actually be some of the first sun you've seen in quite some time. Out here on the open sea, your fair skin may soon turn a bright red if you don't take precautions.
Oh, don't worry. I've oiled myself up.
Excellent. Roast flesh is wonderful. Have you ever seen a lobster after it's been placed into boiling water?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question. A lobster is a wonderfully delicious creature of the sea. But when placed into the boiling water, it soon turns a very bright red, which, under these current conditions, will only take about an hour or two for you to be mistaken for a lobster.
But isn't not to say that I want to eat people, but isn't how when it turns red, isn't that how we know it's done and we can eat it?
For lobsters, yes. Let's just say, if you're not careful with your skin, you are going to have a most uncomfortable evening. Ease into it. Build up a nice base tan.
They saying put on a shirt and pants, lad.
But, hey, you do you. Are you just... Sorry, I just see Scotty laughing. Are you just laughing at him, or are you talking?
No, just Scotty's laughing. Griveth's not laughing.
So, your first time at sea? He's talking to you now, Cantriel.
Well, not exactly. My father used to like to take us on little voyages up and down.
Ah, so you've traveled the waves, but more along the coastal region, yes?
Yes, more of the safer approaches to getting a feel for the water.
Well, everybody's got to start somewhere. The open sea, though, that's a whole nother story.
Oh, so I've heard. Though quite frankly, I've been stuck underground in numerous places over the past few months, and on a ship in fresh air with blue sky overhead isn't exactly a bad thing right now.
Underground? Wow. I can't say that that's a place I would like to be.
Yes, it wasn't exactly my first choice, but sometimes you have to put up with conditions that you don't necessarily want to be in. And she'll look like side-eye towards Griveth in his loincloth doing his calisthenics.
I'm going to...
And meanwhile, from the other side, there's a grumbled look on Thorgarn's face.
Dervish, Captain Dervish gives you, as you kind of give Griveth a sidelong glance, he actually watches your face, Cantriel. He doesn't follow your gaze initially. And then he slowly turns to regard Griveth. I see.
Yes, it can be interesting at times with that one, forewarning.
So, how long have you been together?
We're not.
Well, pardon me. I mean, your company.
Oh, well, that's a different story. Usually everyone seems to jump to the fact that, never mind. A few months now, actually. Thorgarn joined us a little bit later, but a good decent time. Not quite a year, not less than type of situation.
Just for a reminder.
Like 6 months. I'm trying to do the mental math right now.
The actual time that has passed is actually about somewhere in the 3 to 4 month time frame since you all banded together. You and Griveth have known each other for over a year.
Okay.
And then Talmud had come to town later, going all the way back to Oakhurst.
Okay.
But our adventures, from the time our adventure started until now, somewhere in the 3 to 4 months has passed.
All right, cool.
So you've had a few experiences together, but you haven't really gotten the chance to know one another.
Well, there are certain things that tend to bond a group. In terms of more intimate details, actually, no. There's some things that I'm sure we haven't shared with one another.
Well, we've got at least a 10-day aboard the Evangeline. There will be plenty of time for intimate details. And with that, he pushes off from the railing and walks over towards Thorgarn. Griveth, are you still working out on the deck?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I am a beautiful man. I am just ripped. I'm totally ripped. The Eldath healing just removed all the scars I had on my face, so I'm beautiful.
Okay. I just had a flashback to like an early edition with comeliness when that used to be a stat. Thorgarn, Dervish, Cantriel, just for the sake of decorum, as he pushes off of the railing, he does give a tip of his hat towards you before he leaves your presence. He takes a few paces over towards Thorgarn, and he just sort of stands next to you for a moment. And if you follow his gaze, he's looking towards the bow, towards the forecastle, where Fig is standing, just staring straight ahead towards the horizon. So, that's an interesting one there.
Oh, Fig is great. He's a pleasure to have, and kind of new to the world. So seeing things with a fresh set of eyes through his perspective is kind of been a joy. So how tall is Stark?
I will tell you in just a moment. Stark is 5'11". He's about a medium build. Looks to be in his mid-30s.
So human, I'm guessing then?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think I had mentioned that. He's human, very, very tanned, slightly weather-worn skin, sandy blonde hair about shoulder length. It's pulled back into a bit of a ponytail, and he has piercing blue eyes. Eyes like the sea after a storm.
So, what's your interest with him?
I just find him to be quite curious, in fact. Him, you say?
Aye, so he says.
All right. Well, I've been around quite a bit. I've seen things in my travels, but I've never seen something quite like him.
Well, I've by the guess of it, I'd say I've seen more years than you, and well, I've never seen anything like him before either. Although, according to the research and what findings we have, he's not the only one.
There's more of him, or his kind.
More like him. Yeah.
You'll have to excuse me if this comes across as if it comes across rude, because I don't intend it to be that way, but what exactly is he?
It's a person. What are you asking?
Well, You are a dwarf. I am a human. That person is has metal skin, bits of wood, gears.
As far as I can tell, it's a sentient construct. It's got a mind, it's got a soul.
Sentient construct.
I don't know if there's ever been, a name picked by Fig as to what their race is called, but it's Fig.
Well, I should look most forward to talking to him along this voyage. Excuse me, I apologize if any of that has come across as anything more than just pure curiosity.
Nah, we've seen worse. I'll try very hard to not look over blatantly at Griveth when I say that.
I'm going to roll an insight check just to see if he's picking up what you're putting down.
It is if it's heavy.
So, Griveth likes to work out.
He likes to show off. Most of the time his heart's in the right place, but he's got a thing for our elven friend there, and he tries too hard.
Really? Interesting. And you'd see as he's sort of leaning against the railing and kind of glancing over at Cantriel. Well, he may not have the best choice in deck wear, but he's got a good eye. Are you still wearing your breastplate?
Yeah.
Speaking of deck wear, and he kind of, with just a single knuckle, he just kind of ting ting on your breastplate. While we're here at sea, I'm not entirely certain that's the best idea.
But
particularly when you're above decks, walking around. Imagine if the ship were to suddenly list to one side, you go overboard, your breastplate fills with water, and you are dragged down to the depths before we can even throw a rope overboard.
Well, so what you're saying is I should tie a rope around my waist and tie it to the boat.
If you're looking to keel haul yourself.
Do I have any idea what that means?
You can roll a history check if you want.
I will roll history. That is a 15.
I would say that you vaguely recall hearing about it. You know that keel hauling is sort of a method of punishment, usually lethal, carried out at sea, wherein somebody is basically dragged under the boat all along the keel.
So I'll say that, because I'm not a studious kind of guy when it doesn't come to, religious affairs, that we probably have done some research or had conversations with sailors in the travel to the boat, those 3 days, as well as, the couple hours that we've been on board. So, no, that's not something I'm looking to do, but aren't there monsters and things that live out in that water? What if they come on board?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Your men gonna fight them off?
There are quite a few things that lurk in the sea. You appear to be a formidable adventuring party. From what I hear, you've seen your share of excitement. But I assure you, it holds nothing against what lies beneath these seemingly calm waters. You are right to fear that something could emerge from the water and end up on the ship, but myself and my crew, we are quite capable of dealing with whatever that may be. Have you ever seen one of these? And he indicates a device that is kind of mid-ship. It has a sort of almost like a catapult type look to it. This here is called a mangonel. It's a little more effective when dealing with something that's a little further out, particularly with other ships, should that be necessary to deal with. And if you look up there, just to the left of your friend Fig, standing sentry on the bow, we have a ballista.
That's a big crossbow.
And if things get really hairy, well, he just kind of rests his hands on the hilts of his two scimitars and just sort of, if you catch my meaning, we're capable of defending the ship and you.
Well, that's excellent to hear, and I appreciate the style, and I haven't I'm not walking around with all of my stuff, but I do have the hammer and the sword, I guess across my back because my waist they'd be too long, so I kind of tap the hilts of my own weapons. I appreciate that style as well, but I'll take your advice. Do have some words that I wish to speak before too long, but if you recommend I do it sooner rather than later, I'll go doff the armor now.
It would make me and the rest of the crew feel a little better. But you have more you wish to say now or at your leisure?
Wasn't to you, sir, but to one of me friends. But I'll go and take care of this first to ease you and yours. So I'll bid him adieu and head below deck and begin stripping off the armor.
Talmud, what are you doing? You still getting sick in your cabin?
I imagine his stomach is probably completely empty at this point. It's more just kind of heaving. And he's going to finally kind of make his way out of his room. He's kind of standing at the bottom of the staircase, not really wanting to go above deck, but completely tired of being in his room. And not only that, it reeks now. So he's kind of standing in the open kind of staircase that kind of leads down here, kind of getting some fresh air and just different scenery, but he doesn't want to go above deck.
All right, so Talmud, you leave your quarters and here we go. There we go. So as you leave your quarters, your quarters are located on the lower deck and at the stern of the ship. So you can actually see as you come out where the mizzen mast, which is the rearmost mast of the ship, comes through the upper deck and passes through this deck down below. And there's an area of cargo. There's a bit of cargo containers all along the hold of the ship where you are. There's a set of stairs that you had descended to get down to this area, with another set of stairs leading further below decks. And you were also told that at the bow of the ship on this deck is the privies. As you're perhaps remembering now, having already evacuated your contents of your stomach throughout the your room. Are you kind of just sticking in this area?
Yeah, he's kind of leaning against the base of the staircase, almost like he's crawling. He's just kind of leaning against it, trying to stabilize himself as this ship is kind of gently rocking back and forth. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted at all. This is this is terrible.
That's worse below decks. It'd be better for you if you were above deck in the open air. It's a woman's voice.
He kind of looks around.
Leaning against a cargo crate, just a little bit inside the hold area, is a human woman, probably about 5'6". She's got long dark hair pulled up, a little bit of a just general, you can't really tell if it's the complexion of her skin or if it's just dirt. Her clothes are well worn and patched. She wears trousers and a silk shirt that is sort of a light blue color, with a thin spun vest over that, leather bracers, a sword. Like many of the crew that you've seen carrying weapons, they wear a thick leather belt draped across their shoulder that their sword then is attached to, rather than a traditionally around the waist type sword belt. She kind of pushes off of this crate and walks over to you. The name's Matilda. I'm the ship's surgeon.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Matilda. My name is Talmud.
Talmud.
I am a little concerned, however. From the top of the deck, I'll be able to see all of the sea.
Well, this is true, and it's going to be that way for at least a 10-day.
Don't, please don't tell me. It's better I just don't know. I might have a little bit of a problem with water.
She starts laughing. Boy, are you in the wrong place to have that kind of a problem?
Yes, this is true. It was not my idea. I tried to talk the rest of the group out of going on this this quest, but they made up my mind for me.
Well, before you know it, it'll be over. But you trust me, down here, the air's a little bit staler, there's no sunlight. It quite frankly reeks of vomit now. Thank you. Well, come with me. Trust me. And she holds out her hand.
He'll take it. I imagine he's probably pretty weak at this point, so he's probably trembling and shaking a little. Kind of uses her for some support.
So she kind of takes your hand and then with her other hand sort of kind of braces your shoulder. So she's kind of standing next to you, holding your hand with her left hand, your left hand with her left hand, with her right hand on your back, as she's almost like leading you towards the stairs. And you notice by the time you get to the stairs that she's actually sort of pushing you in a way that counteracts the swaying of the ship. And you would notice that a little bit, just the tiniest bit of the nausea seems to subside.
I think that's probably the moment when he kind of steps up onto the deck and is faced full force with Griveth in all of his glory. And he turns to this woman and he says, I thought you said it was more pleasant up here.
Try over here.
Yeah, maybe I'll just turn around.
So what is her impression of seeing Griveth on the deck in a loincloth flexing?
I don't imagine she's paying much attention to it right now. She's leading Talmud along as you come up into the main deck. She begins leading you aft and up onto the quarter deck is the word I wanted. Onto the rear quarter deck. She leads you up another set of stairs. And one of the crew members is standing at a large wheel. And the motion of the ship at the stern here seems to be a little subtler compared to along the sides of the front. She leads you all the way to the back railing and sort of places your hand on the railing. Try just looking back at the horizon. You can still make out, you see that sort of dark wavy line. That's the shore that we came from.
Oh, that's far.
You can also notice that with the sails full of wind, the ship is moving along at a good pace and is producing a small amount of wake behind it. The water is twisting and churning, frothing up. As you look down at it, you see the contrast of the stern of the ship and the rudder as it moves through the water. The closer to the waterline and the ship that you're looking down, although actually, sorry, you can't see the actual stern and the rudder. You see what's being kicked up from that. You see just below you, you see just the upper part of the quarter deck. But it seems to be moving even faster, and you become acutely aware of the side to side and back and forth motion. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Jake?
What'd you get?
There's a 2 on the die, so that's an 8 total.
Oh yeah, you are violently sick again.
You're right, it's much...
There. You'll get used to it, I'm sure. As she sort of pats you on the back.
Thank you for thank you for trying to help, Matilda. And he kind of sticks his hand out, and then it's never mind.
Just make sure you eat something. We'll be serving food before too long. Roland's cooking up something real nice, I hear. For some reason, the captain decided to order lobster to be cooked tonight. You're going to want to eat something. But if you're still finding yourself ill come morning, come see me. We'll see what we can do about it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do I think that lesser restoration would heal his seasickness? It basically can heal a condition. It can fix a condition on somebody. Would it work on seasickness?
I would rule that it probably would.
Okay, cool. So I hear I'm down on the deck flexing, and I hear on the upper deck, you know.
Griveth is all too familiar with the sound of retching.
Right. So I'm like, I go up to see what's going on, poke my head up, and I see her trying to comfort him and get him through this. And I kind of jog over in my loincloth and rippling muscles, and I kneel down before Talmud, and I say, brother, let me help you. I think I can help. Would you allow it?
Jeremy, that was a very awkward pose to be in while you froze. All we saw was this.
Yeah.
So we didn't hear if you responded to that.
So Griveth says, lift up your tunic.
Man, do you know how to make this awkward?
And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Talmud kind of like leans back, looking down at Griveth. What are you going to help with?
I'm going to help with the sickness.
By me taking my shirt off.
Just pull it up a little bit.
Oh, fine, whatever. I'll take whatever you've got, I suppose.
Okay, so Griveth goes, kind of blows into his hands to warm them up, rubs them together, and then slaps them on Talmud's tummy, and then starts to rub the tummy, and then and then his hands begin to glow, and you feel this soothing magic kind of oozing in or soaking into your stomach, and you're feeling better. The sickness is gone.
He feels much better in his abdomen. It feels like it's settled, but his face is contorted in sheer agony as he's looking over at Matilda with this like plea for help.
You look over at Matilda, and she's looking at Griveth, clad only in a loincloth, and she's watching him closely.
I have the magic.
And then she walks over to you, Griveth. What's exactly was the medical treatment you just performed?
Oh, it is a blessing of my goddess. Do you have time to talk about this? Eldath. Eldath, praise Eldath.
Ah. All right. Well,
she can cure anything from open wounds to sour tummies.
Well, I guess I should be careful or I'll be out of a job. Remember.
Oh, no. I wouldn't want to put you.
She turns to Talmud. Remember, if you still need it in the morning, come see me. And you. And she gives you a look. And she does look you up and down. She just kind of, you see her eyes move from head to toe and back up again, Griveth. You're probably going to want to see me later. Because I'm going to need to give you something for that sunburn you're probably going to have. And she walks away. So, is there anything else in particular you guys would like to do for the next little bit as you're sailing along?
So after I, shuck out of my armor, I did want to, get that conversation with Cantriel I was trying to have before the display on the deck of the ship. So I would go seek her out.
God.
So I don't know where anybody is this moment, but I would ask to, speak to you away from everybody else if you've got a moment.
All right, sure.
So I wanted to talk to you about two things. One kind of serious, one not so serious. What are you in the mood for first?
Well, let's start with serious and then work our way to not serious. At least end on a better note.
All right, well, both of them have to do with our display and friend that we saw out there.
Oh, you mean the priest monkey?
So when we were in the hold back after you found your bow and your mom and killed the dragon and what have you, I did that ceremony calling upon Eldath and Moradin to try and see what is actually wrong with our friend there, and there was something about a tree and that he had to do it himself. Well, after we got back to town, Griveth, sought me out, and it was the only one that was seeming more, as religious as himself. And every time I kind of mentioned the tree, he would take the conversation into a whole nother direction. Now, we realize he's got to do something. He's kind of avoiding it. He hasn't mentioned after we parted ways that he went and did anything about it, but he came back a little weird in another direction when we saw him again.
Yes, well, weird seems to be Griveth's permanent setting. It just depends on which distinct type of weird he wants to be for the day, doesn't it?
So it's going to be harder to rectify anything that he needs to do if we go in the complete opposite direction. But I'm worried and would like to hear your thoughts on dealing with him, as you seem to have known him a lot longer than anybody else in the Dawnbringers.
Don't get me wrong, I'm definitely concerned as well. I'm not exactly thrilled with the many directions he's taking. Let's put it that way for his personality lately. I don't know. I feel like he's fixated on this tree because he felt like it was supposed to be a gift for me, and quite frankly, I don't want it. I don't know how else to make that one clear. I wish I knew what the damn thing was. I'd pull it up by the root myself.
Well, he's anytime you mention it, he just takes the conversation in another direction. So I wasn't able to get any information out of him about it. So
I'll see if I can try and get something from him. Perhaps if I ask where the tree is, he might be more willing to tell me, considering he considers it I'm going to wring Talmud's neck. A gift to me because supposedly you're supposed to give an elf a tree.
Well, this actually, kind of dovetails into the other, thing I was gonna talk about. And dwarves are sometimes known for joking and what have you, and I kind of brought up that whole idea of kind of teasing them to, seeing what's going on, but I don't know how possible that's going to be with the captain out there.
Oh, something tells me the captain will do the job all on his own without even trying.
That's kind of what I was thinking. So perhaps I don't want you to lead the fella on if that's not something that you're into, but if maybe be friendlier over the course of this journey to gather some information, if nothing else, but to help him out of his problems, even if we have to do 4.
I'll see what I can do with Griveth. Again, not leading him on, but definitely concerned about his welfare, of course. It's not that I don't care for the man, I don't care for him that way. There's too much going on with him, and I can't even get a feel for who he is, let alone what he is, quite frankly.
Well, it's difficult, and there's a saying that humans don't live long enough to really be one person. They're so moldable by the situation.
Very true. And he's a young one still.
What has he got? Just a few decades under him?
He's a pup.
It's not much for a living, if you ask me.
No. All right, well, handle it as tactfully as we can. Try and figure out if we can find this damn tree. Take it from there.
So even if we have to, do what we have to do here on this here mission, get some coin, get some tails. I know how that'll go for your performances.
Oh, I do hope you mean TALE and not TAIL.
Indeed.
I was about to ask that in our side chat. Did he just say get some tail?
To the bard.
But Cantriel called him on it.
But either way, if we can complete this, and then even if we have to tie him down and force the information out of him, we got to get this dealt with, because it seems like his spirit is torn by whatever it is he's done. That's not good.
No. He's far too young to take on the weight of the world, and I worry that what he's taken on is even more than that.
Indeed.
All right, we're in agreement then. We'll work together and try and see if we can make some progress with that one.
Do what we can. I'll help wherever I can. I'm learning some new tricks, but there's not a whole lot to it yet. We'll see what's uncovered, and we'll see how things go.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm almost afraid to ask. Griveth, what are you doing?
I assume I didn't hear the conversation.
No, they took care to be away from...
They snuck away surreptitiously from your viewing eye.
Where exactly did you go?
I was up with...
Thorgarn and Cantriel.
Probably towards the lower, probably near the lower deck area where he wasn't.
Okay.
I would think.
Yeah, we would have, I would have pulled her into a room if need be.
Even better.
Okay. All right, so back to Griveth. What were you doing, sir?
I was just hanging out with Talmud.
All right. Let's see. Griveth and Talmud then. Make me perception checks.
19 on my end.
I got an 11.
Talmud, you can clearly see as your occasional vomit goes overboard and is lost in the churning sea. Griveth, as you're sort of just standing in that area, and you notice all the way at the bow of the ship, as Fig has now moved to the right side, and then quickly shuffles over to the left side, and then moves back over to the right side. The whole time he's looking overboard, and then
Hey, Talmud, you see that? What's Fig doing?
No, where's Fig? Is Fig
Down
here?
there on the deck, see?
He'll look. Who knows? It's Fig. Tom will just
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
shrugs.
That's true. Who knows what that thing does?
Fig. Fig.
I'm not entirely certain that Fig would be able to hear you from back at this back part of the ship.
I wonder if he's broken.
I know you're having a little bit of a problem with your sea legs. You want me to run down there and find out?
Let's go figure it out. Why not?
All right. You coming with me?
I promised Fig I'd look after him as much as I could.
You feel okay to walk?
I'll mosey that direction.
Okay.
To give you guys spatial perspective, the ship is about 80 feet long from aft to stern and is about 20 feet across the deck. So, Griveth, were you going alone or were you going Talmud?
I'm going
Talmud's
with.
coming.
All right. So you guys head up to the front. And as you head up there, you see Fig just continuing.
Fig, what are you doing? Stop. Fig, what are you doing?
Oh. There's something moving in the water.
What?
They're all around us.
What
I'm
is
trying
it?
to decide how many there are and whether or not I should try to kill them or if they're harmless. Have you ever seen such a thing?
They're probably just fish.
I've seen fish. These are much larger than fish.
Oh. Okay, I'm
Talmud is kind of standing very far away from the banister, and he's going to kind of indicate the gunnel. Maybe you should look, Griveth.
Yeah, I think I should. I think you're right, Talon. So I do.
You look over the edge, and you see where the bow of the ship is cutting V patterns in the water. And then you see smaller V patterns next to the ship on either side as you see something gray and smooth-skinned darting through the water. A fin breaks the surface. And then another, and another. And as you listen, you can just hear as several dolphins couldn't keep a straight face doing that. As several dolphins are leaping through the water, following along the sides of the ship.
I don't know what they are, but they're beautiful.
They sound like they're dying.
Graceful. They're so
Are
great.
they dying?
They're beautiful. Obviously, you have to get one for Cantriel.
Javelin.
They're beautiful, so I should not try to kill one.
No, don't kill them. Let's just watch them together. I've never seen these creatures either. But they seem so graceful. They're beautiful to watch.
I didn't know that fish could jump.
I don't think they're fish.
Well, technically, they're not fish. One of the crew comes wandering by.
What the hell are you talking about? They're in the water. They've got fins.
They don't have gills. You see that hole on top of their heads? They breathe out of that.
You mean like a gill?
It's not a gill.
Is it a gill hole?
It's a blowhole. Those are dolphins. They're a sign of good fortune as they escort us on our journey into the horizon. Please.
Beautiful.
He turns to Fig. Don't kill them. That would bring bad luck upon us.
So I've got my arm around Fig, and I'm like, look at the spray. The spray, it creates rainbows.
Indeed, it does.
So beautiful.
So, in the interest of time, we're going to fast forward just a tiny little bit. As you all are just getting familiar with the captain and the crew, and we're going to basically fast forward to all of you have been invited into the captain's quarters. A table has been set with a variety of foods. There's fresh potatoes and corn and carrots. There's for each of you a large red lobster that The captain is quick to show you how easily it is to crack open the claws and the tail and get at the succulent meat inside. Several bottles of wine are at the table, and several bottles of rum are at the table. The meal is well underway. It's sort of nearing the end. It's kind of like that. We just came back from a commercial break, and you see, the captain's dabbing at his mouth. The plate is nearly empty. So you've all had a chance to eat some food. Griveth, I would like a Constitution saving throw from you. Also, point of clarification, as Star 19 has just brought up in the chat, did you get dressed for this dinner?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I have a... I was going to explain that. I have a beautiful white tabard with the symbol of Eldath in silver on it. But anyways, that the temple gave me. But anyways, because I don't keep money. But anyways, I crit the heck out of that die, so I rolled a crit.
Okay, you managed to not get sunburned. So, for the most part, the conversation has been very, very basic. When showing you all into the cabin, the captain did gesture to a seat to his right hand for you, Cantriel, if you would take that. And he is very quick to make sure that your wine glass is topped off. But he also passes the wine and the rum around for everybody as well, allowing you all to fill your cups to your pleasure. At this point, as he leans back, he reaches inside his vest and pulls out a meerschaum pipe, pulls out some tobacco from a pouch and packs it. From within the pouch, he pulls a wooden match and lights it with his thumb and lights his pipe up as he leans back. So, we're taking you all to the Saltmarsh. What exactly, if you don't mind me approaching you with such curiosity, brings a group like you to the Saltmarsh?
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is it just the captain and the 4 of us, the 5 of us, or?
Great question. So it is the 5 of you, the captain, and in the room is Victor, the spectator. Though he does not sit at the table with all of you, he just sort of hovers near the windows.
Does he eat the meal with us?
No.
Have we, other than coming to this dinner, have we seen him elsewheres on the ship? Besides, when we formally asked to come on board.
Victor seems to just kind of randomly move around. He'll hover along the decks, along the railings. Every once in a while, he hovers up near the crow's nest. He'll hover down below decks. He kind of moves around more or less like the rest of the crew does, except in this case, he's staying near the captain.
Got it. Well, I mean, like many things, it's, we're an adventuring party, so we're out to earn coin and get some adventure, get some new experiences to be able to share and see what the world has to offer.
That, and there was a stipulation that it wouldn't have to be permanent.
Oh yeah, that part was important.
And we're not supposed to shake down the locals.
No, we're not going to shake down the locals.
That's what I said.
No, you said supposed to. That gives you some wiggle room.
No, I don't want to. I said that back on land.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing.
Exactly.
You feeling any better yet, cousin?
I am very much so. He's like pulling food off of Fig's plate and like helping himself to seconds.
Thorgarn would have eaten, anything and everything that he could. Actually getting, new foods and new varieties is something that he enjoys. And being out here on the boat, obviously we're going to have different tastes and different, foods than what we've had before. So.
Well, if I'm being forthright with you, this meal is a bit of a luxury. Though the food is quite good, Roland does quite well with the supplies he is given. We don't eat so lavishly. And we're in here, of course, because the others are not eating nearly as extravagantly, though they are eating just fine.
Well, on behalf of the whole group, I humbly thank you for inviting us to such a fine meal.
I thought it's good to start our journey off on a good foot and get to know you a little bit better. But I must say, again, if you'll excuse my forthrightness, there appears to be some disagreement about exactly what it is you're doing. You're seeking adventure, yet possibly not shaking down the locals.
No.
You travel in the company of a dwarven mining company with Manistrad copper locks.
We're going across the sea with Miss Copperlocks. They're looking to increase the mining operations over there. We're on retainer to look into problems and matters that might arise from the increase of the mining operations.
In a nutshell, it was advantageous for both of us.
What can you tell us about these lands, dear Captain?
Well, what exactly do you want to know?
Like my friends have eloquently stated, what are we getting ourselves into?
Well, first and foremost, you are leaving behind Faerun, the Sword Coast. I don't want to presume your travels, but given that this appears to be all of your first time on a sailing ship, I can safely say that you've not done much exploring along the coast, but enough to know that the regions of the Sword Coast are governed more or less by local small governments. Keoland is ruled by a king. The rules there are a lot more strict, are enforced a lot more. Though Saltmarsh itself is a little bit of a anomaly in that it's still a bit untamed. Though King Scotty is doing his best to enforce his rule along the way. The king himself has been taken far to the north. Wars, of course, as he tries to conquer more lands. But he is still exerting his rule and influence in the Saltmarsh region. You're going to find that Saltmarsh has, well, much like yourselves, a bit of a differing of opinion. You've got the loyalists and you've got the traditionalists. Those are the two primary groups of people you're going to want to watch out for, depending on, well, I guess depending on where you find yourself. Given that you're escorting Menestrad Copperlocks and the mining company, I would say that you're already placing your chits on the side of the loyalists.
And which side would you be placing yours, Captain?
If you've got the loyalists here, you've got the traditionalists here, I like to keep myself firmly in between them. I don't like to take sides.
Are they violent?
What?
Are they violent with one another?
Well, things could get a little violent on the fringes. The seas around the region can be a bit tricky. Have you ever heard of the Sea Devils?
No.
Are you talking fiends? I know a little about fiends.
Not in the traditional fiendish sense. Sea Devils is more of a colloquialism. The proper term for these creatures is Sahuagin. They're a sort of violent fish people. And they are trying to exert the rule of the sea in the region. They claim all things within the sea and that touch the sea as their own.
That's a lot.
For the most part, you're going to find that Saltmarsh is a comfortable fishing town. For the normal visitor, it shouldn't be too much out of the ordinary, but you seem to be in line with the mining consortium, so when we get into town, I can help perhaps to introduce you to one or two people that can help you to get the better lay of the land, as it were.
That would be greatly appreciated.
So, I know you said you like to park yourself in the middle, but what is it that the loyalists are trying to accomplish, and what is it that the traditionalists are kind of trying to accomplish?
Well, the traditionalists are more made up of prominent fishing families and merchants that have been in town for, well, pretty much since the town of Saltmarsh was. And of course, where you have merchants and fishers, you have those workers who rely on those. The fisheries and the shipping trade, all of that stuff that relies on the merchants and the fishermen to do what they do best. They are a hardy folk. They have endured raids, and they have endured much hardship, and still they stand. And they make it no secret that they are not in line with the Crown's desire for implementation and possible open war. You're going to find even those that are, let's say, merchants of a different ilk, smugglers, you may know some of them by. Even they tend to be a little bit more on the traditionalist side. The Loyalists are relative newcomers. Most everybody who would be considered a Loyalist has come in recent years at the behest of King Kimbertel Scotty. They are of the mindset that the town of Saltmarsh should turn all of its focus and assets towards becoming a active asset for the crown. Right there you can see where conflict can easily breed.
Almost
look,
clears his throat and
So
kind of
they're-
makes like a "see, I told you so" face.
So they want to expand, and based on what you're saying about what the traditionalists don't want, they want, they want a war with the Sagan, however you say that word.
it's less about a war with the Sahuagin and more about war in general. The king moves his influence into the Saltmarsh region and turns these fishing and merchant industries into official assets of the crown, diverting all growth into the crown and funding the king's wars to the north. Listen, you guys have clearly aligned yourselves with the mining operation. If you are there to do as you say and just escort the miners and sort of keep an eye on things, I don't think you're going to have any kind of trouble whatsoever. At that moment, you hear at the door to the captain's mess, the door cracks open and the bosun peeks his head in. Captain, we've got trouble. And that's where we're going to take a break. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in so far in our sea-borne adventures of the Dawnbringers. I'm not sure anybody knows what to do, not having narrow walls and doors to travel through underground. You have so much open space for yourselves. I can see where it can be a bit daunting. But you're starting to get a little bit of a sense of what you're going to be facing as you head further west across the sea. We'll see what kind of trouble is waiting for you. I'm sure it's nothing. What kind of trouble is waiting for you when we return from a brief 10-minute break. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in so far. Please stick around. We will be back in about 10 minutes. Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Intermission. Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, is a channel dedicated to the love of and participation in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Whether we're designing encounters or miniature terrain, building worlds or dice towers, or just playing games, everything we do here is because we love this amazing hobby. That is why the mission statement of Mini Terrain Domain is simply imagine, build, play. If you like to watch live play or actual play D&D games, you can do so at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain 3 days a week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, you can join us for Cult of Personality, a long-running campaign set in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure setting. On Mondays, you can join us for All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign guaranteed to be epic proportion. And every Thursday night, you can join us for Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. This is a series of mini campaigns going across the gamut of several well-known modules. Season 1, which is available on youtube.com/miniterraindomain, took place in the Sunless Citadel. And Season 2 is currently taking place in the Forge of Fury. If you can't join us in the chat for our live shows, that's okay. You can usually catch the roleplay, or rather the replay, on YouTube just 2 days later. If you're a fan of what we do here and you'd like to support what we do, there are a variety of ways you can do this. First, simply follow the Twitch channel or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Next, make sure you follow all of the participants of each game or show on their various social media platforms. To do this, if you're watching live with us on Twitch, you can simply type an exclamation point and that person's name into the Twitch chat, or on YouTube, you can look down below the information bar and all of their links can be found there. Finally, if you would like to provide monetary support, which flows right back into the production of the channel so we can continue making great content, you can join the growing list of patrons on Patreon. Additionally, you can also use Ko-Fi or Coffee to buy a coffee or two. I like coffee. But the absolute best way to support the channel is to follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and join us in the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you link it to your Twitch account, you can subscribe one channel per month absolutely free. No matter what you decide to do, we are just happy to have you here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more great content in just a few moments. Remember, metadata!
Hi everyone, I'm V and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. Please be sure to go over there and check it out if you too would like to learn how to make some tabletop terrain, paint miniatures, as well as some game accessories. I'm always happy to have new subscribers over there.
Learn the ways of the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, and delve into the minds of the players. If you're looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and a dice-rolling good time, grab the modules each month and play the campaign with your gaming group with quest givers DM Scotty and DMG. They're taking you on an epic journey through the role-playing experience every Friday. You're sure to get hooked on adventure.
And we really liked the idea of creating adventures together, so we thought that'd be a lot of fun to share with you guys.
I didn't think this kind of stuff would come out of my brain. We are quest givers, and I'll see you in the next video.
Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is a collection of 4 adventures for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. The adventures are setting neutral and meant to be seamlessly dropped into any world that has a large seaside city and a jungle environment. With a bit of adaptation, the environments could be changed to suit any group. In Treaty of the Tiger King by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, a distant king arrives at the city to negotiate the peaceful end of a war, but the Mercenary Guild has other insidious plans for him. Will the players be able to thwart assassination attempts against King Rami and help him negotiate circles of social intrigue in order to finally end the war? In Madness of the Majestic Menagerie by Ken Brees of Burling's Beard, the famous Majestic Menagerie draws hordes of visitors to the metropolis and cultural hub known since time immemorial as Splendor by the Sea. But now the gates of the famous zoo have been shut and the grand opening of the new section has been jeopardized by a spate of mysterious accidents and, it's whispered, grievous injuries due to uncontrollable creatures. Mr. Majestic seeks to hire investigators and troubleshooters who can keep a low profile to iron out any problems before the impending grand opening becomes a complete disaster. Do you have what it takes to uncover what's driving the madness that's befallen the Majestic Menagerie? In The Infernal Collection by Sharong Biswas, when an influential fashion designer is found dead days before a major fashion show, heroes are called in to solve the mystery, prevent any further destruction, and help the fashion house prepare for the show. Gorillas in Their Midst by Jacob W. Norman of Mini Terrain Domain is a pulp action adventure wrought with perilous challenges and high possibility of death. But what is adventure without danger? Of course, there is the lure of vast piles of unclaimed treasure and the accompanying fame that await those intrepid adventurers who would defy the odds and plunge into the heart of darkness. In this adventure, the characters will face raging river rapids, wicked waterfalls, poisonous plants, venomous vines, sinking sands, treacherous traps, and the vicious jungle demon itself, Awakane Gori. Grab your satchels, fedoras, and bullwhips. Adventure awaits. The Adventure mixtape also comes with 4 original songs inspired by and written for the heroic adventures herein. This collection of music and story is something unique. We had no better word for it than mixtape. If you ever received a cassette, CD, or digital playlist curated to take you on a memorable journey, then you'll recognize what you find inside this volume. Also included in the Adventure mixtape, courtesy of Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, are exclusive combat cards. Special cards that contain all of the items, monsters, and spellcasters found within these adventures to make running your adventure all the more easier. Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is available exclusively on drivethrurpg.com.
Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous role tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on drivethrurpg.com.
And we're back. I do want to say, we were just chatting during the last part of the break there, and I neglected at the top of the stream to give Ted an opportunity to talk, but I'm going to type in a word, a chat command, into the chat. A link is going to pop up, and if you haven't already checked it out, please follow that link and check out the awesome Nerdarchy Kickstarter that is just doing all kinds of awesome stuff. And a lot of stretch goals have been unlocked and even more cool stuff soon to come. So definitely check that out. I look forward to the day when I can incorporate some Nerdarchy materials into the MTD stream. All right. You guys had a lovely dinner with the captain. You were starting to inquire about what to expect when you get to the Saltmarsh region. He told you a little bit about King Embertoss Scotty, about wars to the north, about the loyalists, the traditionalists, and the things that are going on in the region. And right after we went to break, I told these guys, and I'm telling you, the audience, so you know, they get the sense that Captain Dervish, is deliberately withholding some of the information. He's giving you the barest bones of what you need to know. But he did say he would introduce you to some people when you get there. And given what you're doing, you probably shouldn't expect any kind of trouble. At which point there was a knock at the door. The bosun came in and said, "We've got trouble." You hear the sound of the captain's chair against the floorboards as he pushes back, and he drops his pipe onto his plate and quickly heads out of the door. He turns and says, "Excuse me, I'm going to see what's going on." And Victor, the spectator, quickly follows behind him as he heads out onto the deck. Do you follow?
So I'll say to my companions, or probably several glasses of wine or rum or a combination thereof, the captain assured me that if there were problems, I don't need to wear the armor, that they got it all under control. But are any of you interested in seeing what's going on?
I mean,
I'd much rather know, thank you very much. And she'd stand up, push her chair back, and she's going out the door.
It has been rather boring so far. So maybe we should just go.
I will follow as well.
We better check.
As you all get up and head out the door, nobody is in the room to hear Fig, as he's the last one to rise from the table. "Well, I guess I'll go too." As he gets up and heads out after the four of you. As you head out onto the deck, the sun has set and the sky is illuminated lightly by what seems to be 1,000,000 shining stars, more than probably any of you have seen at any one given time from the land. There's no mountains or trees or anything to obstruct your view for 360 degrees around you as you look up. The captain, you can tell where the captain is primarily because of the floating form of Victor. There are lanterns all around the railing that provide a bit of illumination on the deck of the ship. And you can see that the captain, Victor, and the bosun, Arnold, and a few others are near the bow of the ship, looking over the side on the port side, which is the right side. Wait, is that right? I'm partially dyslexic, and I just made myself forget. Starboard is the right. As soon as I said it, I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, port is left because they both end in T.
You didn't get my joke. I said port. That doesn't sound right. Not even a courtesy laugh. Okay.
I would say I'm laughing on the inside, but
that's just me masking my dyslexia.
I laughed, but I was on mute. So,
all right. Bad jokes aside, you see them all gathered along. The captain is actually moving, sort of along the railing a bit, and you hear a couple of the others, the bosun and the quartermaster, are ordering a couple of the crew. "Hook it with a grapple! Pull it up alongside! Let's get some light down in there!" Somebody's taking a bullseye lantern and is trying to focus the light into something that they're looking at over the side.
I hope that's not the dolphins.
Do you approach, or who approaches?
I'd be approaching, and I'd actually have light going on in my hands. I'd cast it on probably one of my daggers, just to have like something ready and glowing.
I'm curious. I'm approaching.
Talmud is retrieving his axe, or his axe.
I had my weapons with me.
All right, so Cantriel, as you illuminate your dagger, you see the one crew member who was sort of leaning over the edge with the bullseye lantern. Kind of, you hear that little as they're adjusting, trying to focus the light, and your magic light completely washes it out. As he just kind of looks at it and goes,
Better.
"Whoa." The captain turns to look at you, and for a moment he has a scowl on his face as he kind of scans around. And looking down, you all can see that there is a basically what looks to be kind of like a skiff, sort of a long rowboat, but it does have a single mast. There's the tattered remains of a sail, and there are 3 dead humanoid bodies inside the skiff. They, in the light of Cantriel's light, they all appear to be human.
Haul them up. Maybe we can save them. Not realizing they're dead.
What is it?
It looks like some bodies.
They're dead. And Captain Dervish actually slides over, maybe pushing one or two of you, kind of pushing past you, as he reaches out, Cantriel, pardon me, and he sort of reaches for the dagger, and as his hand closes around it, he just sort of closes around your hand holding the dagger, just to kind of move it, not taking it out of your hand, more like, hey, aim it over here. And he's sort of doing this, just adjusting the light a little bit.
So, a little bit of paranoia, goes into Thorgarn as he's seeing this, thing, and just to be on the safe side, he's gonna tap into, some of his, newfound abilities, and I'm just gonna do a divine sense, making sure those bodies aren't gonna get up.
So divine sense is checking for
undead
in particular.
Undead, fiend, but mostly undead.
As you reach out with your senses, nothing pings back at you.
Excellent. Just, you gotta be safe. Best to know. It's already night. Am I really going to need 2 of these before I go to sleep?
Oh, it's not on there. I was using the overlay, trying to cheat and see if your guys' passive perception was up in the overlay on the quick sheets, but they don't have it.
Mine's 11. It's horrible.
I think does anybody besides Cantriel have over a 15?
Yes, I have a 16.
Cantriel, how high is your passive now?
It's 18.
As everybody's looking around, and the captain is he does say, he just kind of looks at you, Cantriel. I don't like this.
I don't either.
Finding anybody dead in a drift like this, it's not good, but something feels off. Griveth and Cantriel, both of you hear movement from the opposite side of the ship. So as you're at the starboard bow, kind of looking over the side, you hear a what sounds like, well, what you hear sounds almost like if somebody took a bundle of cloth that was soaking wet and dropped it onto the deck. There's this sort of wet splorch. I'm being careful not to say splorch. It's not a splorching sound.
It's not a splorch. Could I, hearing that, like, sort of quickly get my hand dislodged from the captain's and throw the dagger towards the direction?
Okay.
Like area?
Make a attack roll at disadvantage because you're throwing blindly.
Okay. And this is for my daggers. God, I haven't used a dagger in a while. Hold on. Where is my dagger?
Just dex and proficiency should be the same as your bow.
Yeah, I know. No, what I'm saying is my dagger is not in my equipment. I gotta get that fixed later. Well, I got a 7 on disadvantage, so I don't think that's gonna strike with the dex.
So you turn, and as you spin and just release, your hand pulls easily away from the captain's. You turn. There's this weird play of shadows as you throw this dagger to the other side, and it sticks in the railing, creating now a backlight to 4 hulking humanoid figures that are dripping wet, and you can just see a glint of light reflecting off of metal as they all pull blades out. And I need everybody to roll for initiative.
Okay.
Would one of you like to take over for Fig?
Not it.
Not with the way I roll.
I'm so bad with wizards. Don't, please. No, no.
Okay, I'll roll for Fig.
I would do it, but I don't have Megan's character sheet.
Actually, now that I think about it, you're right. You can't look at somebody's character sheet unless you go the roundabout way through the overlay. One second. I need Fig's. I had Fig's character sheet open and then I closed it on accident. One moment. While I'm opening this, Griveth, what'd you get for initiative?
I got 11.
Cantriel.
24.
And let's see, an 11 on the die, so 12 for Fig. Thorgarn.
8.
Talmud.
A big 3.
All right, and then I'm gonna have Dervish is 14, and let's see, +1. That's a 13, and there's so many people on this ship, though not everybody is going to be involved in this. One of these days I'm going to have an overlay with like 16 spots in it, and I'm just going to have I'm going to have guest audience for the for the whole crew. Okay, and then that's going to be 6. All right, so here is the order. Cantriel, you are going to be first, followed by Captain Dervish, and then the bad guys, and then Fig, Griveth, Thorgarn, Victor, and Talmud bringing up the rear. Okay. Cantriel, you see these 4 figures. They are humanoid. You see that they have the basic humanoid shape, though their posture, their head size, the length of their limbs, everything seems skewed. And even more so because they are now backlit by your dagger stuck into the wood of the ship. What are you going to do?
I am going to look at these creatures and...
They're 20 feet away because they're on the
20
opposite side.
Perfectly fine. I'm going to narrow my eyes at them, and I'm going to start to sing, I have truth on my side, you only have defeat, and cast Bane on 3 of them.
Okay.
And then as I do that, place my hand on the captain's shoulder and look him in the eye after I've sung that, and perhaps it's time now to prove your worth as captain and give him bardic inspiration. So they have 3 of them have to make charisma saving throws.
What's the bardic die for you right now?
I believe it's a D8 now. Hold on. Yeah, it's a D8. For the inspiration.
Is that just for attack rolls, or is that for damage as well?
Oh, hold on. I gotta go.
Or not damage. It's, what is it?
I'm College of Valor. So you get combat inspiration, which means you can roll the die and add the number to a weapon damage roll, or when the attack roll is made against a creature, or it can use its reaction to roll the die against the number rolled against its AC.
Okay.
So I'll put it in the chat. It's got some good stuff to it.
And then Bane, they have to make saving throws.
Yes, against a DC 14.
So I'm going to roll 3 separate die. Charisma saving throws. One of them critted.
So they'll make it.
So that is going to be, for charisma, they have a +1. So there's a 21, a 12, and a 16.
So the 12 will fall prey to the Bane. The other 2 make it.
Okay, so that's D4 to his rolls. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you gave your inspiration to Captain Dervish.
I did. Please stay right next door.
All right. Captain Dervish, you hear him say the words, Sahuagin. And then you also hear him curse under his breath as he says, damn bleed masters. And he takes a step forward. And he just kind of glances at you with this look between consternation and almost the trace of a smirk, Cantriel, as he takes a step forward and both of his scimitars come up and he just slams the handles together, and from the blade is a tremendous burst of thunder shooting across the deck as he casts Thunder Wave at the Sahuagin, which is a Constitution saving throw. I need to move Dervish into D&D Beyond. This guy, I have an old character sheet for him. All right, so they're all making con saves. Oh man, I think they're all gonna save. So as he casts Thunderwave at them, that you watch as they all sort of lean into it. And they're going to take... Oh, wait, that one of them has a -2. Still passes, and I forgot to roll for one of them. Good Lord. All of them, no matter which dice I grab, they're rolling nothing less than a 15. Just be ready for that. They are going to take 13, so 6 points of thunder damage, and they look like they're almost about to be pushed overboard. But they just brace themselves as they lean into it. And that is Dervish's turn. It is their turn. The 4 of them separate and begin moving towards all of you. And let's see. I am going to randomly determine who the first one attacks. It's going to be Griveth. The second one is Thorgarn. And then the third one is Talmud and Cantriel. So you guys each get one. Actually, I take that back. That would have been Dervish, not Cantriel. And he's closer. So they move in to each of you. So starting with Griveth. This creature, as he gets closer, you can see as the light starting to play off of their shiny, wet skin. You can see the sort of fish-like face, these large, like, gill-like ear things. These are very aquatic-looking creatures. And as it opens its mouth and sort of hisses at you, it is very clear that these things are designed to rip and tear at flesh. You see quick flashes of light as its blade lashes out at you once, twice, 3 times. So, first attack, Griveth, is a dirty 20, a 21, and a 24.
All hit.
All 3 of them. So it just comes rushing at you, and it's just streaks of silver as this weapon just... so you are going to take 5... 13 is 18. Plus 3 is 21. Plus 9. You take 30 points of slashing damage. Dervish, the first one that comes at him, it misses with a 9. Its second attack is a 19, so that's going to be a 25 to hit. And its third attack is a 23 against Dervish. Dervish takes 7, 10, plus 12, 22 points of slashing damage. And then the other 2, I believe, were at Thorgarn and Talmud. Talmud, the one that comes charging at you, does not have a blade drawn. It lunges at you, swiping with its clawed hands. The first claw is a 15 to hit. The second claw is a 8. So as it hits you, the 8 hits you as well?
I thought you said 18.
No, 8. I was going to say, what? How does 8 hit you? And then as it misses with that second hand, it just sort of grabs with the claw that strikes you and pulls you towards it and attempts to bite you. But it's going to miss with another 8. So you're only going to get the 1 claw hit. You are taking 5 points of slashing damage as this claw rakes into your arm. And then It's going to be blade attacks against Thorgarn. The first attack is a 23. Second attack is a 12.
12's gonna miss.
And then a 9. So it
That's
comes
gonna
in
miss.
at you just swinging this sword, and just one of the hits cuts into you as you're sort of backing away from it. So you will take... oh, wait. You know what? This is the one, Thorgarn. So 2 of them missed, and that was... What was the first one? Was 18?
23.
Or
23.
23? So, okay, it's a 22. That's the baned one. So it still hits. 11, 14 slash. I thought I rolled double 8s. You take 14 slashing damage.
Ouch.
As they quickly move in amongst you and begin to attack. Fig is going to...
Oh, wait, Jake, hold on just one sec. I'm going to do my sentinel attack before you move on.
Okay.
I did a 13 to hit.
All right, which one are you attacking?
The one that hit me.
Oh, the one that hit you.
Yeah.
13 to hit is going to miss.
Okay.
As you strike out at it, what are you hitting it with?
Sir Bradford's Honor.
There's a metallic clang as Sir Bradford's Honor strikes against this thing's armor, and you realize that this thing is wearing plate armor.
Okay.
All right, so Fig is going to see that these things are rapidly have engaged with all of you, and not risk casting Fireball. Fig is going to... It's weird because I don't know Fig as well as Megan does.
Lightning bolt.
She has... Oh, that's what it was.
Lightning bolt right down the line.
I'm looking at her spell list.
I think she's used Magic Missile before.
That's where I was leaning into, was Magic Missile. But I'm just double checking. Yeah, I think the Magic Missile is probably going to be the... She does have Magic Missile, doesn't she?
I'm fairly certain I've seen her cast it before.
Unless
Doesn't she have the wand?
Yeah, she has it.
Oh,
So
is that
it's-
where it's from? It might be from a
Oh,
wand.
the wand in her.
Oh, right. It might be, right.
She doesn't have that on her sheet, but I know she has it. All right, well, knowing that that's what she has, and because I'm the DM, she's casting Magic Missile, and she's going to cast enough. Cast it at, let's see, first, that would be 3. So she'll cast it so that one bolt hits each of them. That's going to be 5, 4. Really, I rolled a 1, 2, 3, 4. I just realized that. Okay. As the air is briefly illuminated by Fig's Magic Missile, as these just striking each of these creatures, it is Griveth's turn. You are actively engaged with one of the Sahwagin Blade Masters.
Okay, so Griveth was sorely wounded in that last attack, and he's at a severe disadvantage. He has his sword, he has Sir Bradford's Honor, but he doesn't have his armor on. He's only got a tabard that he wore to dinner, and he doesn't have his shield. So he doesn't have his armor and shield with him. So he's realizing that maybe he can help the group more by being like support. So he calls on the power of Eldath to screen him from this evil. So I'm casting Sanctuary on myself.
What does that look like?
Kind of even though it's night, kind of a blast of light shoots down and a shimmering field kind of covers Griveth.
All right. So any creature that attacks you has to make a wisdom saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
If they fail, they choose a new target or lose the attack or spell.
Yes.
Awesome. Love it. So you're just more or less taking up a sentry position to support your friends and protect yourself magically. Thorgarn.
All right, so there's the guy directly in front of me, right? And he's the one that just smacked me.
Yes, you are also engaged. Basically, everybody but Cantriel is engaged with one of these things.
All right, well, then I will rage and smack this dude twice, or attempt to smack this dude twice with a Space Keeper. And I do say attempt. That is a dirty 20 and a 12.
The dirty 20 is going to hit. The 12 is going to miss. Domain dice. Sorry. 76. My throat was really dry.
All right. Well, then I will take that.
I'm not saying you guys have to take domain dice, but I am reminding you that you all have 76 domain dice.
And I will use one and turn that 11 into a 19.
The 19 is going to miss.
Damn.
Yeah.
That look on Ted's
Sorry,
face.
I had my mic on.
That look at Ted's face when I said
Wait,
19
what?
misses. What? Let's see. So you guys are now at... I mean, good move learning what kind of damage these things can do on the first round, but yeah, I just wanted to remind you, you do have domain dice.
All right, so that is the one attack that hit, 13 damage.
13 damage.
Guys,
All
learn. They got a 20 AC, guys. Good luck.
All right. So it is now Victor's turn. And Victor is going to target the one that attacked. I gotta see if I gotta do these randomly. I don't think I do. Victor is going to target the one that attacked the captain first. So that one needs to make a wisdom saving throw. It fails with a 2, which means the one attacking Captain Dervish, you just see its eyes grow wide as it suddenly looks like it's questioning what it's done, and it has just this look of fear in its eyes. And then it's going to double down because it's attacking the captain. So the same one's got to make a con save. It's going to succeed, I think. It succeeds. So it takes half damage as you see this sort of sickly green energy come out of one of its eye stalks. 6, 12. So it takes 6 points of necrotic damage as it rips this wound in its flesh. Talmud, it is your turn.
So this thing has sunken its talons into Talmud's arm and kind of used those to pull him in closer. And as he is doing so, looking down, you can see that the tattoos that surround these new wounds are starting to glow kind of out away from where this wound was made. And they kind of start to ripple all the way across his body and his face, glowing bright blue. And as they're doing so, Talmud says, "Oh, you're in trouble now. You've got bad luck, friend." And his face kind of ghostly kind of extends into a snout. and a friendly face says, "I'm bad luck," and is going to pull the axe up in Talmud's hands and strike recklessly at this thing. As Meepo brings the pain, hopefully. I'm going to spin a domain die.
I was just resetting us up for the gifted sub.
You know what? I'm going to spin 5 domain dice, Jake.
Okay, so hold on. We were at 70. Okay, hold on, because I just started to shift this. We were at 75. Quinian's gifted sub got us to 76. So we're at 71. Okay, I can do math. All right. So you're going to turn this hit into a super crit. So that's double max damage.
All right. So max damage is 18. So 36.
36 points. What does this attack look like? Keeping in mind that you do not kill the Sahuagin Blade Master.
So as the tattoos kind of light up and Meepo's visage kind of morphs out of Talmud's body, the axe known as Ghost Cleaver, this axe that bears the mark of Durgadin the Black, comes out of like the dark area at Talmud's feet and comes up and clefts this thing's like from the left side of its abdomen up to the right side of its chest. It just has caused this massive gaping wound. Maybe even a little bit of fish guts kind of poke out a bit.
Absolutely.
So on my second attack, as the axe is kind of up, he's going to basically just swing around the head so that it comes down with the heavy side first, still recklessly attacking for a 26.
Yeah, that hits.
Good. Okay, so 16 more points of slashing damage. Oh, wait. I forgot rage damage. Which is +2.
So that's 18.
Correct.
That's How do you kill this Sahuagin Blade Master?
So the axe goes up in the air and spins around, and then Ghost Cleaver comes down, kind of gleaming in the moonlight of this night basked sea, and it almost holds the moonlight like as it comes down, and it almost looks like moonlight actually slices through this thing. As Talmud then kind of spins around Meepo faced, and this thing just kind of falls into 2 pieces.
Make a perception check.
That's a 7.
Okay. So this guy is gone. All right. That was the bottom of the order. Cantriel, you are up.
All right, I'm going to take out my bow, and as I am preparing my arrow, I'm going to whisper "swift death" to those who have wronged me, and I'm going to get things going. So we're activating the melody rune, or no, the Cantriel rune, I believe, right? That's the one where it's the fun stuff happening. So with advantage and my extra 3d6.
It's wait.
I'm doing the target. I'm doing the target, so it's my chosen enemy.
That's just the bow property.
That's just the bow.
Yeah, I think the Cantriel property is the one that's
okay. So I'm just activating
dragons.
the bow property. Oh, that's right. So we're not dealing with dragons.
Yeah,
so,
you're not activating the rune, but you are using, because this bow is an oath bow.
Yes, so I'm activating its oath. So then, will a 23 hit?
It will.
It will.
Which one are you attacking?
The one that looks the most hale.
The most what?
healthiest.
I thought you said pale. And
Hale. H-A-L-E.
that makes more sense. They're all pretty equal except for the dead one.
Okay, then the one who's going.
So you got
towards the captain.
one on Thorgarn, one on Griveth, and one on Captain Dervish.
One on the captain then. And then that's going to be I have to math. Hold on. 16 points piercing for the first attack.
Okay.
Because I have 2 now.
And that's also the one that had that look of fear in its eyes.
Okay, perfect. So then okay, hold on. 25 to hit.
Absolutely.
I love my custom dice. I'm seeing 2 crafting muses. All right, so that's 12. Of course, the other 2 rolled 1. So hey, so that is 14 piercing damage for the second attack.
Both of these arrows find their marks in what appears to be very vital places as they strike this thing, and it seems almost impossible, but its eyes grow even wider as it's looking around and sort of taking in the amount of people that are around it. It's Dervish's turn.
Oh wait, I'm gonna do Bardic Inspiration.
Okay.
Then after that's done, I will shout over to who is the other one on? You said Griveth and Thorgarn?
Griveth and Thorgarn.
All right, so then she'll shout over to Thorgarn. Do your best with this one across the boat type of thing, and you now have the Bardic Inspiration.
That's a D8.
So Dervish is going to do a thing as he sort of looks over his shoulder as you strike this thing, Cantriel. He looks appreciatively, and then he swirls the blades around, and you see this sort of practiced dance with his blades as his 2 scimitars begin to swirl around, and he begins to sort of dash and dodge and weave around, and he is going to, where's the stupid, I'll have to look that up. Can somebody look up for me the number of sneak attack dice a level 3 rogue has? Because I can't remember while I make some attacks. Because
it's 2 dice.
It's 2d6? Okay, so oh, there it is. Is it only 2? Oh, that's right. I'm remembering suddenly that Dervish was built with the swashbuckler when it was in UA. He gets attack, action surge, attack. So he gets 4 attacks. As he first attacks this one with his first attack doesn't go so good. It misses, but he makes it look like it doesn't miss. The second one, so he's basically swinging his swords around in front of these things. I rolled a 3 and a 4. And for his third attack, that's better. That's an 18 on the die, so that's a 24 to hit. And then a 14. So he was only going to hit with one of these. Stupid Dervish. But he's going to do a few d6s of damage as he slices in for 20 points of damage. And this thing just keeps stepping back as he's cutting into it more and more. It's going to actually, Dervish is going to get a 5th attack on this thing because it's the Sahuagin's turn. And this is the one that's frightened, and it's actually going to try to get away from him, provoking an opportunity attack, which is a dirty 20 to hit. So Dervish does another 7 points of damage to this one. And then that one gets to make the save again. As it turns and he slices into it, he kind of cuts across its back and you see a spray of blood, and the Sahuagin stops. It's about 10 feet away, or it takes a few extra steps so that it's about 10 feet away from him. And it just turns around and you see that look of fear is no longer there, but its turn is over. Thorgarn, Talmud, and nope, Talmud, yours is dead. Thorgarn, where did the other one go? I feel like I lost track of one of these guys.
Weren't there only 3?
Oh, that's right. There's only 3 left. The one on Dervish, then the one on Talmud. Nope, Thorgarn, and good lord.
Griveth, right? Griveth.
All right.
Thorgarn and Talmud?
Yes, Griveth, you are being attacked. That is...
Make a saving throw.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
I am sanctuary.
So that is a wisdom save, correct?
It's a 14 DC, yeah, wisdom save.
That is I kid you not, that was a natural 20 that rolled to a 2.
Oh.
It did that thing where it got right to the edge of the rolling tray and stopped for a second and then went bloom. So it
normally
fails.
I hate that, but I don't hate that this time.
So it starts to make its attack at you, and it hesitates. And it says it loses the attack, right? Not the action. Because it has 3 attacks.
Right.
So I'm going to make it, it's going to make the wisdom save for each of these following attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, a natural 1. And
Cuts its foot off.
It succeeds on the last throw, but it misses with the... It had like a 17 on the saving throw, but a 4 on the attack.
Yeah.
So it's you can see like it doesn't know how to deal with this light and the fact that you're glowing, and it's sort of like doesn't know, and then it takes a swipe, just half-heartedly and completely misses you. Thorgarn.
Indeed, yes, sir.
13.
13 is going to miss.
11.
Miss.
And a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 is going to hit.
It seems like all of their bite was in their first attack. As these blades come in for 14 points, or this blade, 14 points to you, Thorgarn.
And I will resist that to 7. Because I am raging.
Yep. Fig. Fig is going to look at the one that was frightened but is no longer frightened. And Fig is going to cast let's see, what level are you guys? 7. So Fig is going to cast a firebolt. Whoa, that's a 19 on the die. So Fig is going to hit. And that's going to be 14. You watch as this one turns. The one that you had struck Cantriel, the one that tried to get away from Captain Dervish, and he sliced into it. It turns around. And all of a sudden, you see its entire form just struck and illuminated with flame. You hear the sizzling sound as the moisture and water dripping off of it begins to quickly and instantly evaporate. It suddenly drops to its knees and then drops smoldering to the deck as that one is now dead. From Fig, we go to Griveth. You have one in front of you that has attempted to strike you, but failed.
My friends are righteous. My friends are noble. Bless us against these sea devils. I call on bless to bless my friends. So you all have 1d4 to your attacks and your saving throws.
Excellent. Thorgarn. Muted.
Somebody's got to do the Griveth every session, don't they? With that bless, actually really changed the number of my rolls. That is a 23 and 2 27s to hit the dude in front of me.
Yep.
So
anything 20 and above hits.
So then that is going to be 4, 8, 14, 24. A total of 31 points of damage as my weapons just, lay into the dude.
You see as you're damaging this thing and blood is spraying and it looks like it's hurting. Is that the end of your turn?
That's all I got.
Let's see. So I think that he's going to need to make a Constitution saving throw, which will be, he fails it. You watch as a beam of energy shoots out of the spectator's eye, hits the one that you just damaged, and it freezes completely in place, stops moving altogether. You see it sort of trying to resist as its sword is raised, and it's just locked into position, completely paralyzed. The other one that is engaged over by Griveth is going to make a wisdom saving throw. Deck die 13. It just makes it, so it's not going to do anything. As you see another beam kind of shoot and miss the one that was engaged with Griveth. That takes us to Talmud. I guess I should have just looked up to Talmud raising his hand. This is my sheet with all of your everything on it, and it's a mess because there's so many people and things and damage on here.
I got you covered in the chat.
Yeah, but I track damage and other effects on here as well.
That makes sense. Absolutely. Okay, so Talmud has felled this creature, and he turns around and he runs over to the gunwale of the ship. The sea! The sea! We're on the ocean! Oh, I love the sea! And then he turns around and he runs to close with the fishman, the fish creature that's attacking Griveth.
All right.
Leave him alone! I'm bad luck! He's going to swing. That's a 23 to hit on the first one.
That's a hit.
And the second. God, it's got the other. It's got to be better than that. Nope, that's only 14.
Yeah, that one's going to miss.
Don't forget to bless.
Ooh, to bless, yes. Ooh, the blessing made that as. What is that? 16.
Still miss.
Yep. Okay. Damage on that first one is going to be 8. Yeah, so 19 points.
All right.
Griveth! Griveth! We're on the ocean! We're at sea!
Cantriel.
Meepo!
All right. Then there is.
Give him bad luck.
2 left now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
One of which is completely in front of Thorgarn, but is not moving.
All right, then I'm going to go for that one.
Which I believe... do it this way. Oh, that's weird.
Yes, no.
Yeah, well, 1 second, and I will tell you. Any attacks that hits the creature automatically fails. Creature is incapacitated. Okay. You have advantage. That's what I was looking for. Attack rolls have advantage because it is paralyzed.
All right, where did I put my... I'm pulling out my famous one again. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, that was very much appreciated then. So that's a dirty 20.
You're attacking with the bow?
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
dirty 20.
I have to add that in. Wait, that was 27 to hit then.
Ooh.
And then that's going to be 12 points piercing for the first attack.
How many points?
12.
All right.
Second roll. Let's see here. Oh, did not do so well. 9 plus 4, 13. So, that's just straight up dirty 20 this time to hit.
Yep, as a hit.
And then that's 6 points piercing.
It has obviously no reaction as your arrows strike into it, but you can see the blood leaking out of it. As it is Dervish's turn.
Can I do one more bardic inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then Cantriel will look over to Griveth and if nothing else, let this be your extra bit of armor, and she'll give him bardic inspiration.
All right. So he is going to, Dervish is going to I think he's just going to blade attack the he's going to rush up next to Talmud and assist on attacking the one that's on Griveth and Talmud now. He makes, good lord. So he comes rushing in a little too quick. There's too much blood on the deck from the slaughter you guys are doing. I rolled a critical fail on Dervish's first attack, which opens up to opportunity attacks.
I mean, can we say he rerolls?
Technically, since he's on your side, if you guys want to spend a domain die in his favor, I will allow that. I will not make that call, but if you want him to re-roll it, I will do that.
Yes.
Okay, so yes.
Oops. 1 second.
It's best to not lose the captain on the first day. Just saying.
Yeah, that doesn't
All right,
really look good.
So he's going to re-roll that, and it's a crit. I went from a critical fail to a critical success. Okay.
Well, I mean, we are mucking with fate here, aren't we?
So what happens is, instead, as he goes rushing in, there's too much blood on the deck. He's not expecting it to be quite as wet. And you see him, it looks like he loses his footing. But what he really does is he drops down to one knee and uses the blood to slide as he brings both swords up and cuts across like this. So I'm going to roll that second attack on top of the crit. And that's going to be a dirty 20 to hit. So he gets the max damage plus it's a re-roll because of the way I do crits. So that would be 6, 7, 8, 9. And then so he does 15 on the crit, and then he does 4 more. So what did I say? I said the number and immediately forgot it. Did I say 15 on the crit? Okay. So he does a total of 19 points as he slides in, and you just see him open up a couple of wounds along the abdomen on this thing. It's not enough to kill it, but it is in bad shape. As he kind of comes to the end of this move and pops back up on his feet, he hollers up towards the deck, and he says, "When you have a shot," as he yells towards the bow. It is. Oh, because that was at the end of his turn, and it's their turn next. So, I would like one of you to roll this attack. This is for one of the crew that has grabbed the ballista that is on the bow and has spun it around toward the Sahuagin, and that is going to be so you decide which of you wants to make that attack.
I think Jeremy wants to.
All right, so you go ahead and roll that die, Jeremy.
D20 in my hand.
And that's going to be a +6 to your attack roll.
Was that a D4 to see who rolls?
No, it was a D20.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a D4.
So you said a +6?
Yes.
Okay, that's a 23.
Okay, now I want you to roll
a bazillion dice.
3d10.
These are an artillery is fun. Okay. 11, 18.
As Dervish slides past, pops up and says, "When you have the shot," you just hear this thunk, followed immediately by another thunking sound. And when you look, those of you that were immediately in that area, that same Sahuagin that was kind of caught between Talmud, Griveth, and the captain is suddenly skewered on the deck. A large ballista bolt has passed right through it, knocked it about 5 feet away, and this bolt is at about a 45-degree angle. And as Scotty is demonstrating with his fingers and a pen, it's just...
We now call him Fish Sticks.
There's only one left. And he is paralyzed. I think he gets to attempt the saving throw at the end of its turn. That is a con save. That is a 6. So he is still paralyzed and can do nothing. Which takes us to Fig.
Do we want to capture this guy?
Fig walks up to this thing that is just standing there and looks to all of you. This is not a dolphin,
Definitely not a dolphin.
so I should kill it.
Fine by me.
And Fig is going to, let me just double check. Okay, it's not a crit. Well, actually, technically, it is a crit. I just wanted to see if I rolled the crit. But because it's paralyzed, any attack within 5 feet of it is automatically a crit if it hits. Fig rolled a 19 plus 6, so it was a 25 anyway. As Fig walks up to it, says this, and puts his fist through this thing's chest. You see the energy start to glow, and then Fig just goes, thum, jams his fist into this thing's chest, and then you sort of hear muffled and see that sort of bluish energy as Fig lets off 3 magic missiles from inside its body cavity. He pulls back his fist, and it collapses to the ground, dead. The captain looks around. I knew you guys were capable, but whoa. And he immediately begins barking orders to the crew. Quickly telling them to get these things overboard. Don't want these things on the ship. Get them off the deck now. We need to get out of here. And where's my notes? You see Arnold come running up to him, and another woman who you've not met before, but you've seen in close proximity with the captain. She seems to be one of the officers. And the three of them seem to be in heated discussion. And after just a quick moment, as some of the crew are already starting to pick up these things' bodies, or in some cases body parts, and throw them overboard, Dervish says, "I don't care. We're doing it now." And
so the one in front of me, the one that Fig just put his fist through, just a quick look, does it look like it's got any kind of satchel, sack, pouch, anything along those lines?
It does not.
All right, well then I'll heed the captain and just hoist the lifeless mass and throw it overboard.
So as you begin to help, and these things are pretty hefty. They're not that tall, but they are stocky. And these ones were wearing plate armor, so they're quite heavy with that. But you're able to get them off the ship. The captain quickly moves to the stern, to the quarterdeck, as he looks down at you guys, and in particular, he looks at you, Griveth, and you, Cantriel. Both of you, come with me, now. That's magic, right? You have magic.
Yes.
And you have holy magic. Let's go. Do you follow him up onto the quarterdeck?
Yeah. Hurry, scurry.
All right. I thought we'd have a couple days before we did this. We're not going to be able to get as far as I thought.
What exactly?
You have magic.
Yes.
From what I know, what I think I know, it'll help. Probably. Maybe. Just trust me. And he takes the ship's wheel and he says, he reaches to you, Cantriel, who he's positioned on his right side, and he says, take this wheel peg. And you see that certain of the on the keel, on the ship's wheel, you see that certain of the handles have gold banding around them. Not everyone does. And he instructs you to grab one of these with gold banding on it. And then Griveth, he points at you and says, take that one. And he reaches up to the top to what would be equivalent of like 11 and 1 on a clock. And he takes those two. And he says, just concentrate on your magical energies. Whatever your magical source is, just concentrate. Think. And then he turns over to the woman that was arguing with him a minute ago, and he yells to her. He says, Giselle! Are we at 8, 9, or 10? And she says, 8. He looks at the two of you and he says, 8. Think 8 days. I would like Griveth and Cantriel to make wisdom saving throws.
Oh, okay.
But I want you to add your spellcasting modifier.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that gives me a 25.
I got a 28.
Okay, and I need to do the same for Dervish. Let's see, his spellcasting modifier is, all right. And he gets a 16. The entire ship, as the three of you are standing there, the entire ship begins to shudder. You feel, all of you, Thorgarn, Talmud, Thorgarn, Fig is near you, having just helped throwing one of these bodies off. Is this normal? The entire ship is almost vibrating. Giselle, the... Everybody's shaking their cameras.
That'll make me a headache.
Giselle, the quartermaster.
Make everybody sick.
Giselle, the quartermaster, and Arnold, the bosun, and a couple other crew members, as they go by you all, you see some of them starting to grab at some of the tie lines, and they do that thing where you sort of wrap it around your arm and grip it. Grab onto something. To you, Thorgarn, Talmud, Fig. Hold on to something now. And everybody begins grabbing stuff. The entire ship.
Can I hold on to Cantriel?
No, because I'm holding onto the captain.
You're on, the captain's between you, and actually, even if you tried, you couldn't let go of the wheel. Your hand, where you are holding onto that banded handle, is almost stuck there. And then just instantly, there's just almost like a blast of air. And where the Evangeline was, in the shining sea, heading west, are 4 dismembered Sahuagin bodies, the remnants of the skiff with the 3 dead humanoids, and no sign of the Evangeline. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
So cool.
Especially since we won't get to play for a couple weeks.
What?
I almost was going to take it to the next step, and I thought, no, I'm going to leave you guys wondering what happened. So, there's a chance that there's somebody, depending on who's watching, or at various times in the past, I've talked about, I don't think on the build video for the Evangeline I talked about it, but the ship, the Evangeline, is based on a ship that I built. I actually built a miniature version of this ship. You can, if you actually search Evangeline mini terrain domain on YouTube, you can see the video where I do a tour of it and show some photos of how I built it. Next stream, I'll remember to bring it out here so I can actually show it. But I have used that ship in several games, and it's always that, not just a version of that ship. This is actually from my long-running home group. This is the same ship, the same captain, in the same timeline, just earlier in their timeline. And this ship has some very unique abilities, as you are beginning to find out. So that is one of the special abilities. I've tweaked a couple things within the lore, but I'm very excited for you guys to see what kind of things the ship can do. And yeah, this is also enhancing whenever my home group gets together. Seems like old Captain Dervish is gaining a few extra memories. There's large swaths of time where he's not with them because he's an NPC, but I do have to, I'm realizing I have to rebuild him in D&D Beyond because of the fact that he's using the outdated swashbuckler, and not all the stats were in there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. You're getting your first taste of some of the baddies. For those wondering, this encounter was actually built using the random sea encounters from Ghosts of Saltmarsh, though what I had before we went out live, I had the players each randomly roll to narrow down the list, and then I rolled based on what they rolled. So it made it easier for me to be a little prepped for that.
So who rolled a dolphin and who rolled a Sahagan?
The dolphin was not from the random encounters. That was just me trying to make you guys think there were sharks. And then the Sahuagin Blade Masters was actually V that rolled that. That's the one that I went, ooh, interesting. Yeah, those guys are pretty badass. So thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight to hang out with us. Thank you to Chesic Student for the resubscription. KY Hawkeye, thank you for the tier 1 subscription. Fearless Leader has followed the channel and was also gifted a tier 1 sub by Quinian. So thank you for all that support. Of course, it's all dumps into the domain dice coffers and helps them out. Be sure to check out everybody's social media links. When the YouTube video goes live in a couple days, all the links will be down below or in the chat right now. You can type anybody's name and their information will pop up. Be sure to check out the Nerdarchy Kickstarter. That thing is just cruising. I think on day one there was a $20,000 goal, and they're already with 23 days left. I think you said there are over $70,000 in funding, multiple stretch goals, and right on the verge of some pretty cool. I guess another stretch goal.
Yeah, so we're actually calling this group, this phase 2, our boss battles for our stretch goals.
Nice.
The first one that we've already unlocked is an add-on to get Fantasy Grounds integration, to have the maps and the tokens that you can be able to get from Arknight. They're going to be imported into Fantasy Grounds that you can be able to get. Right now we are working on getting D&D Beyond integration, which Nerdarchy will have its own portal if we wind up meeting that stretch goal. And we are, less than $1,500, actually less than $1,200 away from that goal at this very moment. And this was the one that I teased about last week that, no other 5th edition Kickstarter has done. So I'm super happy to, see this one happen. So I'm hoping that by morning tomorrow when I wake up, it'll be there. And then we've got some more cool stuff planned as we continue to unlock more stretch goals.
That is so awesome. I'm absolutely stoked. Congratulations, Ted, and the rest of the Nerdarchy team for knocking this thing out of the park. I know it's been a long time in the works, and I very much look forward to running that content on the channel. I can definitely see integrating it into ongoing campaigns, plus running one-shots. Sometimes when people go away, like next week, we will be missing V and Ted for Gen Con, but I'm going to be in talks with Megan, Scotty, and Jeremy, and in all likelihood, we are still going to have a game next Thursday. It's going to be something different. I'm thinking that we might do another one of these side quest things where you will all use your characters that you currently have, but it's going to be alternate universe.
Nice.
In fact, I think I know what I'm going to do. We're going to take advantage of the fact that this is Waterborne Adventures. So I will be in touch with the three of you in chat. You'll want to tune in next week to see how Scotty, Jeremy, and Megan's characters fare in ship-to-ship combat.
So let me just say one more thing. If you guys or any of you out there in, internet's land are actually going to Gen Con and you see V or myself, please, say hi. It's always great to meet the fans and talk about the cool stuff. So I just, want to make sure that is out there.
Yeah. And make sure you introduce yourself first, because I like screen names and stuff. Sometimes they don't always interconnect. Just say your name and say your screen name, and then hopefully it's like, oh yeah, you.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get to meet lots of awesome people, and we'll be watching for your updates and pictures and all that good stuff. So the whole crew should be back in 2 weeks, but in the meantime, we'll be back next Thursday with a skeleton crew, as it were. What am I trying to say? Oh, tomorrow night, tune in on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. to Encounter Balance on YouTube. I am playing in a Dead Man's Guide to Dragon Grin game being run by new Absolute Tabletop employee Jeff Doty, who is actually working on writing stuff for Dead Man's Guide to Dragon Grin, and I got picked to play in that game with I think Marquise and Lloyd, and I forget who else is in that game. And then I believe, because it's been changing a little bit, on Saturday afternoon around 3, no, it's going to be in the evening, so I don't know the exact time, but I will be over on the Fistful of Dice, Matt Click's YouTube channel, playing Mothership RPG, a sci-fi horror game. And of course Sunday we have our Cult of Personality game. All the good stuff happening almost always at 8:30 p.m. on Mini Terrain Domain. We're going to go ahead and we are going to get out of here. We're going to end this stream the same way that we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.